Hello!
Hello, everyone.
Your forehead looks so big.
Yeah, it's stretched out.
Hello!
Why? I look so much smaller than you because of the perspective.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome to the Larter Show.
The only show
The
ever.
the only show.
Yeah, we're back at it again in real life.
Back again with white pants.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's up?
just because someone in chat, I don't know, I don't feel like checking how many people are watching. So, someone in chat, if you guys are watching, confirm that you could hear it. I mean, it shows the little thing.
Yeah. But
Just
give us a larder hello.
a Larter hello.
Yeah. But yeah. I guess if you're tuned, you would know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Wait, actually, I didn't change the name of the stream.
Whoopsie.
No, we're not remembering. Well, we can.
We still remember David Lynch, but that's not the topic of discussion.
Let's see. The Larter and the Heron. I don't even.
Yeah. And what's the go live?
Navigation. Boy, Heron.
That's good.
Heron.
Okay. Awesome.
Boy, Heron. Yeah.
What we did together.
So we watched
The Boy and the Heron.
The Boy and the Heron.
Yeah.
Which is the most recent 2023.
Sorry, I'm just gonna check and make sure that the sound's playing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
2023, the most recent Miyazaki movie. Hayao Miyazaki, who is the kind of the main guy.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Alright.
The main guy behind Studio Ghibli, kind of the main director there.
Or at least the most well known. I don't know how much he has. Is he like the CEO? I don't actually know how much.
I think it's pretty much
like
his
he's
company.
made all their hits and stuff. So.
I think it's pretty much like his company. I don't really know how it is though, but yeah, it's his most recent.
His third last movie.
Yeah, he's made a lot of last movies.
Yeah.
I think he's like in his late 80s.
Wow.
And so I think this might be his last.
Yeah, I feel like lucky that we got this one really though, because it. Yeah.
We'll get into
our opinions.
Kind of why.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is his most recent movie and his first since 2013, The Wind Rises, which is crazy. He directed
wow,
I think he's directed
really?
Yeah, it's been 10 years.
I didn't even like that movie.
It's one of my least favorites, but I like it a lot.
Still good. Yeah, I think the main thing was because we watched that together.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I just felt uncomfortable. Like a lot of World War II things were kind of left unaddressed.
There's a little bit of that in this movie, not really. But
this one, it's at least I think I don't know. I mean,
it's not really about that. It's just that some of the imagery is.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the weeds too much, but I'll just say at least in The Wind Rises, it was a guy making planes for war.
Yeah.
And not even getting into what the war was or whatever. You'd think there'd be some kind of grappling about making machines for killing.
Yeah.
And there's kind of none of that.
Yeah.
Especially for a war that was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this movie just focuses on how it affects the protagonist. And yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely worth exploring and doesn't feel iffy or anything to me.
Yeah. I guess real quick with thoughts, I want to hear yours first because I'm very curious. What do you think of this movie?
I liked it.
How much?
Very much.
Very much. Good.
Yeah, I was thinking in the car because it's I know. Okay, so this movie came out a year ago, right?
Yeah.
And I remember at the time the opinions were kind of mixed.
Yeah, it's probably his most polarizing.
Yeah, and people were like, it's not as good as his other things, or it's one thing that I saw a lot was that it was boring.
Yeah.
People thought it was really boring.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't understand that. But I guess one thing that I can kind of lend credence or understand with the polarizing aspect to it is that it's a pretty big departure from almost every other Studio Ghibli film.
Yeah,
Um,
it's very abstract.
mhm. And I think even more than being abstract, like it feels like the most mature Ghibli film, and that's even including. Well, I guess I haven't seen Grave of the Fireflies, but like maybe the most mature Miyazaki movie. I'd say the other one that I've seen that comes close is Princess Mononoke. Is
Yeah.
pretty deals with like heavy topics and like is like allegorical in some things.
But this
But
one also, what I
Mhm.
love about this movie
Mhm.
is that I think it's like Miyazaki's most personal.
Yeah, for sure.
I think like, and we'll get into like more of the like reasons why.
Mhm.
And honestly, like I don't know much about like Miyazaki and like his like
Yeah, me neither.
personal
I,
life,
I
but
like
like
yeah, I did not look into it, but I'd
but
be
there's
interested to.
but there's a few things. There's one thing I kind of, and it was like funny because I was like looking at it's like the top review on Letterboxd.
Oh
Okay.
boy, what does it say?
It says like Miyazaki is so upset that his son can't draw, bro. And I was like, yeah, that. I mean, I think that's
At least
that's an oversimplification.
towards the end, I definitely got the feeling that that was a part of it.
Yeah. Uh,
But yeah.
but I mean, I think that's like kind of an oversimplification of
Yeah.
what is. I mean, obviously it's a joke letterbox review, but like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but yeah, I have a bit of a hot take about this movie.
Oh boy. Let's hear
A
it.
a positive hot take.
Okay.
Uh, and I don't know if this is recency bias.
Yeah,
Uh,
probably is. But
it probably yeah. This might be my favorite Miyazaki movie.
yeah, fair enough. Honestly,
Uh,
I could see it.
I don't know that I think I have like 5 of his movies as 10 out of 10 on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
This is one of them, and I think it just like it's the one. I mean, part of it might be like the fact that it's the first one I really got to be a part of in the sense that like I saw it in theaters.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got that experience.
Mhm.
Like I didn't know who Miyazaki was when The Wind Rises came out.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like the first one where I saw it in theaters and it was like kind of part of the conversation. Got to
Yeah.
like, and this movie came out in a very interesting way. Do you
Yeah.
remember like when it came out in Japan, like the whole thing?
Mm, I'm not sure I know what you're referring to. So just
So what happened is that this movie it was originally we knew the title in Japan for like years was gonna be was it How Do They Live? How Do You Live or How Did They Live? It was like the same as the name of the book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the title in Japan, and but we knew for years that this movie was gonna be a thing, and what happened is that Miyazaki and Ghibli released exactly one poster for the movie and was like, "This movie is coming out in like a week."
Wow.
And
Okay.
there was no trailers, no other advertising. It was just
I
that.
did not hear about this.
I don't know if it was like literally a week. It might have been like a month, but it was like a pretty short period of time.
Yeah.
And it came out, and I remember like I didn't want to. I mean, like I looked at like some like stuff about like some like reviews from Japan. I didn't want to like spoil the plot or anything, but I saw like the general consensus was like very beautiful film that's also very confusing.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I just like because I remember that being the consensus. I like my experience at least back when it was coming out was like I just remember all of a sudden it was like I saw a trailer, it was on my radar. I didn't know a whole lot about the behind the scenes stuff for like the Japan side release, but I just remember like all of a sudden it was there. I really wanted to see it. It looked really awesome to me. I saw similar things, people saying like it looks good, but it's confusing or long or like whatever.
People said it's long.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
like 2 hours.
And I was just like, I didn't care. I really wanted to see it. Never got to see it.
Yeah,
So,
happens.
yeah.
I think when the first like G Kids trailer came out for the English dub, I think that was like the first time I saw like any stills from the movie, which is crazy. I might have seen like stills, but like it was the first like time I really got to see like actual stuff.
Yeah.
From the movie, and like I was so excited, and it really lived up to my expectations.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say watching it, and I'm just gonna preface and say what I said to you earlier. I watched this in maybe like the most unconventional way.
Yeah.
You could watch this, and that's I saw the first half. I'll say okay. I remember the exact point where I stopped. It was right where the boy and the heron were in the world in the tower, and they were going off to find the sister. Um, what's her name?
Uh, Himi or the
No. The like his stepmom.
I
Basically.
forgot her. I forgot her name.
Yeah. Well, he calls her mom towards the end, but
Mhm.
yeah. It begins with a K, I think. But yeah. So we both just watched this movie. We
Yeah.
can't remember. That's crazy. But
I think it's like Notsuko.
maybe it is. Yeah. But so it was right as they were about to go out on their journey, and then I stopped, and then I was like, okay, I'll, because we were supposed to watch this like it might have even been like a month.
Yeah,
ago.
I know.
Yeah.
That's partially my bad.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll just finish the rest tomorrow.
Actually, it's mostly my bad.
Yeah.
Actually, it's pretty much all my bad. But yeah.
So then we put it on hold, which like we had winter break and stuff, so um we didn't do it for a while. And then yeah, I didn't watch it at all until today, like 2 hours ago. I watched the last maybe like third or so of the movie, and yeah, it was like super impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed it.
I'm glad you liked it. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I didn't. I figured you would, but like,
Mhm.
there was. I haven't really seen many people in like that I know really actively dislike this movie, but
Yeah.
I've seen some more middling to like kind of like it's pretty good
Like
responses.
I guess what the thing is to me, and like I think this is like stupid, and I don't want to like be too reductive or one note, but like I think there are maybe some like lynching aspects, or at least I feel like there's some similarities in the fact that it's like again super abstract and like super personal.
Yeah.
And like I think like I mean I like that type of movie. I feel like I've been watching a lot of things recently that kind of delve into that kind of thing. Like another thing, I mentioned this last show, but The Leftovers
Yeah.
is a very similar thing. Um, and I guess the kind of similarity between, I guess I'll just say Twin Peaks to name one, or like specifically The Return, uh, Leftovers, and this movie. One thing that's similar between all of them is like there are characters in a world where there are weird and specific rules that you're not completely privy to.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's one thing I like about this. I was gonna make a joke that was like, guy who knows one director figures out his second director.
Yeah.
No, but I didn't. I
No, fair, honestly.
No, I don't really like. I know, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
Guy who's only seen David Lynch. It's
yeah.
giving David Lynch. Yeah.
One thing I like about this movie is that it will like I think the world is so well established. I love how like there's like a part I don't remember exactly but the woman he meets who's like supposed to be like kind of like I don't really understand 100% but like
the caretaker or the
supposed to be like one of the grandmas or grannies or whatever.
Oh yeah, like the
the
maid or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but like when they go there, he meets the
young version of
yeah.
Yep.
And she's like explaining the scar she got, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it was like a swamp monster," and like and like, but she said something else. It's not called that, and he's like, what is that? And she's like, and like it doesn't explain it.
Yeah.
But I just love like little world building stuff like that. I think it like really like makes it feel like this is really like a whole world. Like,
yeah,
it's like,
but also just like I think too it helps. I mean, I think something for me is like I think you could call this like it's like dreamlike in some ways.
Oh yeah.
And something I like about things that try to give off like a dreamlike feeling is not just that like there's a whole world and there's like a whole thing there, but also just that there's like this sense of like mystery and like nonsense or like just stuff that doesn't make sense and like they don't linger on it. And it's not like it's like not that serious. Like I really love when you just have like these sequences of things that are like like super abstract. And another thing that I'm thinking of, which is like this is kind of random. Have you seen like Ina or Aina? I don't know. It's like a web series.
No.
It's like
Ina.
Ina.
Yeah, Ina.
Yeah.
Zaf is watching right now. It's a big fan.
Shout out.
Shout out Zaf.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I found out about it because of Zaf's profile picture.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I really it's like the same vibe with that web series where it's like they're in like a world where things happen that you don't understand. But I guess the only thing that kind of like keeps you watching or keeps you grounded is like the feelings and like the human aspects that you find in there.
I was like thinking about that when watching this movie, how it's like you got like you can't make like a fictional like when you make a fictional world. I find it interesting that you absolutely have to like include things that are like at least somewhat understandable.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I think it's like impossible to make it without doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what makes it like the most abstract and like oh nice
Yeah.
official Ina plush, yeah. um it's like I think like the best way to do it is when you're not making the world understandable but just making the character experiencing the world understandable so
Absolutely.
you can understand their reaction to it.
Yeah. Like it's like I think a lot of it is about like just like the emotion that
Yeah.
comes off it. And I think this movie in particular, uh, and that's like the difference between like a Miyazaki movie and like a Lynch movie is that like a Lynch movie I feel like focuses a lot on like the strangeness and like the just like how off kilter it can be.
Yeah.
While like a Ghibli or like a Miyazaki movie is just kind of just about more just like being like kind of like magical, like childlike wonder kind of stuff.
And I think really in this movie it's like the least like space given for wonder and awe.
Yeah,
all
because it's very heavy.
Because it's just kind of like, okay, we're in this thing, go. Like it's
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of like, whoa, what's going on?
If
here?
you watch
This is
like
crazy.
if you watch like Spirited Away, there's a lot more of that. And I think this like if you could compare this to any other Miyazaki movie, I would say Spirited Away.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing, but I was trying to think about what the differences are, and I feel like for one thing, there's like a lot of more like characters who are like, okay, so basically you're in a world that's kind of crazy. Yeah. Make sure you don't forget your name, or else you'll be stuck here. And you need and they like there's like a lot of explaining and a lot I don't know.
There's not really any of that in this movie.
Yeah, in this movie it's just like, yeah, we do stuff here.
Yeah. And I mean it explains a few things, but like it doesn't really like I mean you get like kind of the explanation of how the world is even like
yeah.
It's like you know, like with the tower and
stuff. The stone, the meteorite or whatever.
Yeah. But it's just kind of you're experiencing this like strange world and like he's Mahito is it Mahito?
Mahito.
Yeah, Mahito is just like experiencing it and like kind of experiencing the same wonder that we are, but he's also like hardened because of like his like,
I found the very beginning of this movie to be super compelling as well. Like the just the bit with him like losing his mom and you seeing that and then
with like the fire.
Yeah, the fire
it's like
is rough. I mean, it's really intense.
This is like you know like you start to really this is like one of the Miyazaki movies where like the 3D animation aspects are very like a lot more noticeable and like I think it's used sometimes it's a little jarring but like I think like in that instance like with the fire I think that's like it's very clearly used.
How was it what do you call it? Isn't there a name for it? Was it like rotoscoping? Or
I don't know like the technical term, but like it's just like the way it's used is so like is so cool.
Sorry, Spirited Away. I had to read this.
About fragments of it a lot, and anyone who says Spirited Away is overrated is a moron, and I will publicly insult and belittle one.
I agree.
Spirited Away is a masterpiece.
Yeah, I think for a while that was like my top top Ghibli movie. I think it was on my top 4, but now it's been Princess Mononoke.
Honestly, I need to rewatch that. It's been like 6-7 years since I saw it. That's like one of the one I'm like not very fresh on, but I remember I loved it when I watched it, but I just really barely remember it.
Yeah, it's more like allegorical and like about the environment and stuff, and I don't know. I think it's nice. I think it's really impressive the range that he has, like for expression. Being able to do like both this like super personal like and again this is like his most personal thing like personal introspective kind of vibe as well as like a lot of like allegorical fairy tale parable type stuff. I think it's really cool.
Just a quick aside, because
Mhm.
it's about Miyazaki, but it's not
Yeah.
about like this movie. Have you seen Lupin the Third: Castle of Cagliostro?
I think I did watch it a long, or we had a friend over, Aurora
Yeah.
played it for us. But I think I no, no, no. Yeah, I watched it and I really like it. Abby was there and she fell asleep, and I was like trying to wake her up. I remember for part two, like, yeah, you gotta watch. It's really good. But I think I got distracted because I was trying to wake her up.
But I
yeah.
watched that for the first time recently,
Mm.
and that's probably his least personal film because
Yeah,
it's literally
yeah.
about it's like his only movie that's based on an already existing
Yeah.
property.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like watching that, and it's like got so much of his style already in it.
Yeah.
Like especially with like the vehicle designs,
Yeah,
and, like
yeah,
the way
yeah.
it's like animated, and
Mm.
like I was surprised at just like how much like it felt like a Miyazaki film, even though it's like, and like one thing I like thought about like really like I think and the reason why this might be my Boy in the Heron might be my favorite Miyazaki movie is that it really feels like in like in a filmography where multiple of his films could be considered like his like career defining
Yeah,
film.
yeah, yeah.
This feels like his career defining film.
Yeah,
to me.
I mean, it feels like a life defining film.
Yeah, it's like this is like
Yeah.
like a really like a celebration of him as like a just a director and like
Yeah.
how much he's been
And
able
a
to achieve.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think that's so cool. Like I and like seeing like his first movie and then seeing this one, which might be his last,
Yeah.
is just like thinking about that it was really powerful.
Yeah,
Just because
for
it's
sure.
like he's come so far, but even at the beginning, like you could tell that like the talent and like his signature style was still there, and like even near the beginning.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's yeah, really, really impressive. Also, I just want to like, I'm curious as to your take on this, because like, okay, I think there's a, I mean, I haven't looked into his like private life at all, or like how much of this is based on real life. Um, but like, I mean, you could probably construe that a lot of stuff at the very beginning of the movie with him and like a mom and then like a stepmom type thing is like conceivable, or like something that could be in real life. Then obviously everything going on with the heron and the castle and all that is not. Uh, but I just wanted to ask you, what do you think he's trying to say, including all that stuff with the castle and the meteorite and the ancestor and all that, with this movie as like a part of seemingly an autobiography?
I think a lot of it has to do with his like feelings, kind of like he's nearing the end of his life,
Yeah.
and he kind of has to find a person to really like an heir to like Studio Ghibli.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like kind of like he's like this is what I built, like like this is like my life's work, and like I don't know. I guess there's like like I read that I told you about that Letterboxd review.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah,
and I think that's an oversimplification of it,
Sure,
because
sure.
like I don't think this movie is just like, oh fuck my son, dude, he
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah,
He
yeah,
sucks.
yeah.
He can't draw. He makes bad movies.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's just like he's kind of worried about like the future of Ghibli,
Yeah.
but like ultimately like it's like kind of like a battle between like that and like the fact that he's his son, like he loves him, and
Yeah.
like he wants like probably what's best for him.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like the ultimate thing is that like at the end like he like I mean like these are kind of incomplete thoughts, but like that's kind of the theme I got, and like the world is like the world gets destroyed kind of at the end.
Yeah.
But like, and that could be like a
yeah.
you can look at that.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess for me, I didn't see it so much. And again, like I'm familiar with the stuff between Miyazaki and his son. Like I know people
the Tales of Earthsea, how you
Yeah.
literally walk, and apparently that movie's terrible.
Yeah.
Like that's like the one Ghibli movie that people don't like.
Yeah.
And the one that's on like 3D.
Nice.
but he literally like the infamous story. He walked out of
Yeah,
the screening because he hated it.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up, but also kind
yeah,
of funny. But
I have heard of that. I mean, people like do meme references to it all the time, so I know about that. But I guess like one thing that I definitely see like the I guess it never occurred to me, or I never thought of the Mahito as like being a representation of his son until the very end,
yeah,
where he was like, "I need someone of my blood to succeed me" or something, and then I was like, seeing vibes of that thing that everyone talks about. But besides that, I do feel like, um, I guess what I thought of is like the castle. I mean, like I think it's easy to see it as like a analogy for like art and creation and like storytelling in general. I mean, just the whole thing of like stacking the blocks and like making them a certain way is kind of, you could very much see that as like it's an act of creation, and like the whole world itself is like super beautiful and pristine and like animated awesomely, so it makes sense that it's like, I guess, kind of metaphorically about animation too,
yeah.
and art and creation in general.
One thing I do want to say real quick is that I found this interesting, and this might, I mean, I feel like this is intentional.
Yeah.
Is that, do you remember how the world gets destroyed? It's because the bird
cuts it.
Yeah, the bird is the one who does it.
Yeah.
So I think that might be like something interesting.
Yeah,
I don't really know exactly like what I'm
so
going.
I mean, following your kind of like interpretation, I know one thing that he said is like a world gets infected with molds and animals. So I don't know, maybe this is just fresh off my noggin, but you could see that as like his creation being infected by like other interests,
Yeah.
i.e. maybe capitalism, or
he's like pretty,
bored.
he's anti-capitalist.
Yeah.
He's kind of shown that through his movies.
Yeah, or just people with like different incentives besides just making art, stepping in, and yeah, I think I could see it.
And I think that's kind of like, it's like I keep bringing up this Letterboxd review just because I do find it kind of interesting, just because it's like, like that movie, that review kind of portrays the film as like, oh, like he kind of is really disappointed in his son.
Yeah.
That might be true, but like I think at the end, like I think it's like saying that like, like I can't, if like this is the end of Ghibli, and like it kind of collapses after I pass. Like it's not going to be his fault. Like like he doesn't have the same skill set as I do, but like it's like it's fine. He's my son. Like it's.
I think it's interesting too though, because I mean at the end, like Mahito in the movie, like he abdicates, like he doesn't want it, right? Like he says because he has like the scar on his head that that shows that he's tainted with malice, so he can't go on to run it. So I mean, like I don't know. I think just having it be a thing of like blaming his son or feeling like his son is inadequate is like maybe not giving the full story.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, it's just I think I don't know. It's such like an interesting. There's a lot like, and like he just based on like stuff Miyazaki's said in like interviews and like what we know about him, he seems to be very like, he's just takes his work like so seriously to maybe like a, I don't know, like a toxic degree, probably,
very possible.
But like I think this movie just like, I think it's a really just like interesting and like kind of gives us an insight into like how he is feeling about this whole situation. For sure. With, like at the end of his life and everything.
Yeah, and I mean like I think you could see it as a lot of things, and the Ghibli aspect definitely makes sense. But yeah, in any case, it's like I think with any of these kind of abstract movies, I think it's fun because you can kind of come away with it reading a lot of different stuff into it. And I mean, I think this is really the only Ghibli movie where that's the case.
Yeah, like as great. Like I mean, like not every movie has to be like really deep or anything. Like My Neighbor Totoro, not a very deep movie, but it's fantastic. Yeah, it's just like a fantastic experience. Spirited Away has a little more going on in that way, but it's still not like.
Most of it is tied up with a bow, and there's like not as much room for ambiguity as to like what is going on, or if it really represents anything in particular.
And with the way this movie ends, it's kind of like, he comes back to the real world, and
Mhm.
he's like, and he just, and the implication is pretty clear that he just forgets everything that happened.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we don't really, and like the whole thing with like what's her name, Himi, like turning out to be, I
His
still,
mom.
I don't really entirely understand that.
I feel like I understand it. I feel like it made sense when I watched it. Yeah, I mean, like, at least the way I took it was like, I mean, the whole thing was that castle had like time and space properties.
Yeah.
So like, his mom was there in the past, and so was the caretaker lady he came with, and they were there at the same time as him.
Yeah.
But then they left, and they all forgot it, and then the course of history passed as it normally would. So it's kind of like its own little bubble where like things don't get affected because they forget about it afterwards type thing. But I think what I really liked about it, like when he talked about when like the mom, the young mom, talks about actually being his mom and like him being like, no, don't go because you're gonna die in a fire or whatever. Like that was like really emotionally affecting for me.
Yeah.
Like I was like kind of tearing up during that bit because I don't know, it was very beautiful, and I think like the thing that he got from that, and like the core of the movie that you kind of get at is like that feeling of closure.
Yeah.
Since the whole thing was like he never saw his mom when she died in the fire and stuff, so he is not convinced that she's dead or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that kind of gave him his closure, and like I don't know, I mean, you don't really see a whole lot that happens after the fact, but I like to think that like after the experience, he's kind of like healed more from the whole ordeal with his mom.
Yeah. A quick thing I want to say. Himi's voice actor is the same, and this is like, you haven't seen this show, so it doesn't like mean anything to you, but like, is the same voice actor who voiced Glimmer in She-Ra. And I remember when I first watched this movie, and she does like the exact same. I mean, it's the same voice actor.
Wait, is this for the English?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I watch in Japanese. So
oh, you really?
Yeah.
You missed out on the really good dub.
Oh, my bad.
It has, do you know the cast at all? Robert Pattinson is the Heron. And he has a kind of crazy voice. It doesn't even sound like him.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
But it's really stacked.
I'm definitely gonna rewatch this, so I'll watch it.
Ghibli dubs are mostly really good.
No, yeah, for sure. I remember watching Ponyo in theaters with the English dub, and I think Dakota Fanning was in it.
I know, like,
which is fun.
I think Mark Hamill's in this movie too, and like Christian Bale is in that.
Oh, nice. Who plays the kid?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But has a lot of like, I mean, every Ghibli
games.
movie has a lot of big names because they're big movies. So
Yeah.
it's like it makes sense. But yeah, and I remember watching it in theaters, and I was like, that's literally like Glimmer's voice. Like it's like it's not like her doing like a different voice. It's just like
you
her.
can hear it. Yeah.
And so I had to like check after, and I was like, oh yeah, it is. And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll definitely watch the dub at some point.
I would highly recommend it. It's really good.
Yeah.
I've only seen the dub. I haven't watched the sub. I don't really like. Usually, just like any movie, any anime movie, I'll watch. Like TV show, I usually watch unless it's like a shonen. So if it's like a shonen, I'll probably watch the dub, maybe. But like basically the only for dubs, it's like Ghibli dubs are good.
Yeah.
And any dub with what's his name, Steve Bloom, I'll watch, who does Spike from Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, okay.
And he does the exact same voice for every character he voices, but I like the voice, so I'll probably he does Mugen and Samurai Champloo, and he voices Onizuka and Great Teacher Onizuka, which is one of my favorite anime. That's also very problematic. I probably wouldn't recommend watching it.
Okay.
I watched it when I was in high school.
Is this the Evangelion one, or am I thinking of a different one?
No, Great Teacher Onizuka is it's like I watched it when I was in high school and it had like a profound impact on me. Yeah. But like even describing the premise of the show,
to get into it, that's fine.
It's just like I don't, it's like It's not. It's,
let's not get sidetracked. It's fine.
but it's a good
yeah.
show. It's good.
Okay.
I've thought about rewatching it just because I feel like I would still like get something out of it, but it's
Mhm.
also like it's so much of that. I mean, it's anime, so it's like it's from the '90s, so it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
but it's like
I feel you.
the main character is a pedophile.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably won't watch that one anytime in the
Yeah, you
future.
don't need to.
Yeah. Interesting though. Yeah, I mean, I think I pretty much only watch subs, except lately I've been watching dubs with Abby because she likes to multitask. Well, especially like when it's like an anime, which like she typically doesn't like watching. I feel like my concession for like Abby watching anime with me to begin with is like, okay, we'll watch the dub. You
Yeah.
know? But yeah, and I've seen a few like shonen with dubs, like Jujutsu Kaisen and this isn't a shonen, but Delicious in Dungeon Meshi.
Oh, I need to watch that.
That
That's
one's really
Trigger,
good.
isn't it? The studio.
Yeah.
I really like Trigger.
I'm not familiar with their stuff that much.
Kill la Kill.
I
Another
haven't seen
show
that.
I love that's also pretty problematic.
I haven't seen that yet.
But that one I would actually recommend
Okay.
because it's like it's not like problematic in the same way. It's like it's really really good, and also it's not technically because Trigger was an offshoot of Gainax, who did Evangelion.
I see.
But also kind of the originator and a show that's very much in the same style as a lot of Trigger shows is Gurren Lagann.
I've seen that. Yeah, I like
which is
that.
one of my favorite anime.
I like that. Yeah.
But
except I really hated how it treated like the one woman.
Yeah,
character.
yeah. That's
yeah. Like can't.
and that's kind of why Kill la Kill is problematic. But it's also like that show is like about sexuality. And like the way it kind of handles it sometimes is a little weird.
Yeah, I would have to watch it to.
But
say for sure.
it's also like it's just like an awesome action anime that happens to have a lot of like it's like fan service, but it's not like in like the typical way. Okay. It's interesting. It's like an interesting show.
Yeah, I'd like to see.
It's also very funny, just
Yeah.
because it's a Trigger show and their shows tend to be like
silly.
funny and silly. It's like it's good. It's good. But I also watched in high school, so maybe it's not.
Yeah. Guess we'll see.
But yeah.
But yeah, no, I like watching the subtitles though, especially because like I've been practicing my Japanese lately.
I gotta get back to that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it was like simple enough so that I got the gist for most of the like spoken dialogue, unless it was like using words or concepts I hadn't run into before. But a lot of the like simple talky things, I was like, I think I know what that means. You know.
I think my main problem with dubs is that there's something about them. They're usually not bad, but there's something like distracting about them.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like even like the voice acting in like a regular animated show. It's like they truly talk like aliens.
Yeah,
and like it's very strange.
I think to me the thing is I think like just from what I've learned from like learning Japanese is that like obviously in anime the way people talk are super exaggerated, and no one in Japan would ever talk like that.
Oh
like,
yeah,
it's so ridiculous and outrageous and whatever. But I've never heard Japanese in my life, until I started watching anime and like Japanese movies and TV and stuff. So when I hear them talking, in like a super intense, exaggerated way, I don't feel any kind of like immersion breaking or anything. Like I'm like, oh yeah, well they're just getting into it. But if I hear the same thing in English, like it sounds so like stilted and weird to me, and I'm like, what are you doing?
And
Why
usually,
are you talking like that?
Usually, when I watch like a dub, the voice actors just like aren't talented enough to like get that across. They can't sell it. It's like especially bad in like a show like K-On! Where like it's like a cute girl show and like they're trying to be really cutesy and it's just like it comes off as like cringe.
Yeah, I one of my favorite game series, Xenoblade. Xenoblade 2, probably my least favorite Xeno game, but it's still really good. But yeah, it definitely suffers from that because the main character. I like Switch because they added like Japanese like audio pack basically for the game, so you could hear it in its original like the Japanese voice acting. And generally Xenoblade voice acting is really good, but the main character, just every time, it's like an action game. There's a lot of attacking and stuff. Like when they're supposed to be like
Yeah.
screaming and stuff, like he's like which is like, dude, like come on, like at least try.
Yeah.
And the game is like a lot of that, so it can be like distracting at times. So I had contemplated, and like hearing Japanese voice actors is just so much better. Like it just sounds like, I don't know, way more believable and not like they're like taking the piss or whatever.
Mhm.
So it's way more interesting, and um, but ultimately I still did the English dub because I like how in the English voice acting for Xenoblade they like have like all the different English accents like from the UK. Like they have like British and like Scottish and Irish type vibes going on, which
It's
is fun.
almost it's almost like they're like it's almost like a I don't know if this is actually like this, but it gives me like 10-year vibes with like Funimation.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like the voice actors are kind of just like established and they use a
Yeah.
lot of the same ones for different shows.
yeah,
So it's like they're kind of just like I'm not losing my job.
yeah. Like I'm
phone
fine.
I'm doing phone it in.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But yeah, usually I don't worry about. I mean, nowadays, honestly, the way that I consume like anime related stuff the most is like reading manga. So I don't even think about like the voice acting.
And then like oh god, I'm just like I know we're getting a little sidetracked, but I'm just like thinking Funimation like I think that got just like merged with Crunchyroll.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I hated Funimation.
Yeah.
It's like something about just like the way they did their dubs and their app was like horrible.
Yeah.
Like actually like a broken app on every single like device you could possibly use it.
Yeah.
And it just like gatekeeping like their dubs like from like they were on Crunchyroll for a while.
Oh.
And then they took them off for a while and then now they're back on because they're like
they merged. Yeah.
But and also they would like do these weird things where they would be like I'm not like this is like this was like used as like a Gamergate talking point,
Oh,
but
boy.
it's like but it's
awesome
genuine.
way to start the.
But like and like I'm not doing this. I'm not like complaining about this in like the same way, but you'll get what I mean.
Okay,
It's
okay,
like
okay.
it'll be like watching a show like Dragon Maid, and there's a character who they're joking. It's anime or whatever. It's like they're joking about how big her boobs are, and it's like
yeah.
and like in the I don't know. They just like make a joke about it in the Japanese dub, and it's like whatever. But like in the English dub, the main character is like, because I'm a strong female woman, and like it's like weird. It like it becomes like a weird like feminist thing, and like that's not in like not even in the subtitle version.
Yeah.
And but I think it's just jarring. It's like
yeah.
it's not like.
So they're trying to like defang it of its like weird sexual jokes.
Yeah, it's like it's weird.
I feel like that's not fair. Like just in the sense that like I feel like if an anime is gonna make a shitty joke like that, then like let it do that so you can criticize it for it.
There's a lot of like because like there have been like I know there have been cases of like there's a show I really like called Zombieland Saga, and it's
is that the one where the girl gets hit by a
yeah. So the whole show is basically just like this girl like gets like she gets to finally be like an idol. She gets like an invitation to be an idol, and she's like so excited. She's running outside, and she just immediately gets hit by a truck and dies.
Yeah.
But like this guy, like this crazed guy, like brings her and like a bunch of other like dead idols back to life, and like forms an idol troupe with them.
Nice.
And it's like really, it's like just a really funny and also like kind of sweet show. It's like it's really good.
Interesting.
But there is a trans character in it who straight up is a really good like representation. It kind of explains the way she dies, and I think it's like a little like silly because like the way she dies is like because like, she's a child, like she's like a trans child, and the way she dies is she like notices she has a piece of facial hair and she dies of shock.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. I was
But
expecting way worse.
yeah, I
honestly,
know.
yeah.
But like the way the show like talks about it is genuinely like really heartfelt. But like people were trying to like the Gamergate crowd was trying to claim that like
that she's not trans.
yeah, that like actually if you look at the Japanese the literal translation of the words, like it's not actually that's not actually what's going on. But then it's like
people do the same thing with One Piece. There's like multiple like like almost inarguable trans characters in One Piece, and people do the exact same thing.
Yeah,
like, it's so weird to me.
But like literally like if you look at the Japanese text, like it's literally like more explicit.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
like the like they use a word for like the name I once had, like specifically, and like it's more explicit like with just, like the words it used. It's a good show.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like because it's like kind of a cute girl show, but it's also like it's like but it's also just like I think anyone could kind of enjoy it because it's like it's not really like a slice of life. It's just like a kind of a dumb comedy. But it's like, but I remember like that being like really cool that show has like good trans representation, and you don't see that a lot in anime like ever.
Yeah, yeah. There's the guy who made Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, we talked about that when we did Look Back.
Yeah, he made that. There's a trans character. I mean, I guess maybe technically two, if you want to count one of his one shots, is called "I Woke Up as a Girl" disease.
That's funny, fun name.
Yeah, and you can guess what happens.
Yeah, he gets the "I woke up like a girl" disease.
Yeah, and then he goes to the doctor and he's like, "Yep, this is definitely I woke up like a girl disease." And then hijinks ensue.
Okay, we're getting really off track, but there's one more thing I want to mention. What is this with Amelia Perez?
Oh yeah, I think it's just a bad movie.
But
I
like
think it's a really bad
sweeping
movie.
the Oscars, like getting all these knobs. I heard something. There's literally a song in the movie where she's like
translated to Spanish.
Right?
I heard that.
I heard, but there's also like a part where she's literally like penis to vagina.
Yeah,
I don't remember. It was like I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It was like making it into a fun little song.
I haven't heard a single good thing about that movie at all.
It's weird that it's like sweet. I don't know. It's
the Green Book, but for trans issues.
Yeah, it's like
or The Blind Side or.
But like it was weird because like I mean I hated Green Book.
Yeah.
But a lot of people liked Green Book. Like it doesn't seem like a lot of people are liking this movie.
It might be. I mean, it might be the spaces that we swim in because I think what it is I think this is the kind of movie. Same with Green Book, where it appeals more to people who are not a part of or know people in this group, but maybe are like partial to them, like self-proclaimed allies who are like, I care about trans issues, and this film talks about trans issues. Let's give it awards, like that kind of thing. Like it's appealing more towards, people who talk about trans issues necessarily than like actual trans people.
Yeah. Also, it has like a 2.3 on Letterboxd, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
Like what? Like it's got to be one of the lowest rated. Like
I mean, at least one of the lowest.
I kind of want to watch it out of like morbid curiosity.
Me too.
But like I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Boy and the Heron.
Boy and the Heron. I mean, I think we've said pretty much all we want to say. Awesome movie.
Yeah, I mean,
like, great time watching it. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like I think like now people really like it. Like, but like if you like again going on like Letterboxd source, it's his lowest rated movie.
It's completely undeserved in my opinion.
I mean, it has like a 3.9.
Yeah.
But like it's his lowest rated, which is kind of.
It should be The Wind Rises.
Yeah, or Porco Rosso.
Yeah, I like Porco Rosso.
I like Porco Rosso, but it's like one. It doesn't stand out as much to me.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's because now after watching Lupin the Third, Castle Cagliostro, I've seen every movie he's made. He has like a TV show from the 70s called Future Boy Conan that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
But just in watching his movies, he's never made a film that's like less than a 7 out of 10 for me, which is like that he's made like a dozen movies, and that's kind of insane.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like, and like that, I don't know, like he's got to be like one of the most consistent directors of all time, because like who else has like
Yeah.
a filmography that good? Like,
Yeah, at least also especially like as widely acclaimed. Like I think that's also something that's impressive. Cause like I mean I'm just thinking like our episode last week, like David Lynch, like I love pretty much everything that he's come out with almost equally. I know you don't feel the same way as like about like Inland Empire, for
but like I
instance,
respect it.
but you respect it, yeah. But I think also those are like kind of for like the heads, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? But I think like almost every Miyazaki movie, barring this most recent one, I feel like they're popular too, and
Yeah.
like they're both critically and like commercially successful.
But
so
like
I think that's
what
super
I
impressive.
think for I mean it's hard to really predict things like this, but I think like in 10 years this might be viewed as like one of, if not his best movie.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like time will do this movie
Yeah,
a lot
I'm
of
sure
favors.
it'll get a critical reevaluation. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just so good and like beautiful, and like it's it's got like everything you've wanted in a Miyazaki movie plus more.
Yeah.
And like and I'm not saying that to downplay like any of his other amazing movies,
For sure, yeah.
because they're not trying to do the same thing exactly, but like this one, it just has like so much.
Yeah. Super impactful, super beautiful, and super like interesting, introspective vibe that you don't really get in any of the other movies
Yeah.
that he's made.
And yeah, I loved it, and yeah.
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 And that's the Larter Show, folks.
That's the Larter Show. It's a it's a little bit shorter than usual. Also, we did a little later than usual, just because it's just my weird scheduling.
Yeah.
Shit. But like, hey, I'm glad you could make it today.
Yeah.
And it was really fun, and I really like talking about this movie. I was honestly like kind of worried. I know we got on like a tangent near the end, but like I was worried I wouldn't have that much to say, just because like I didn't feel like I completely got this movie. But I think we had a
I
really
think
good
we covered
conversation.
pretty much everything. Yeah, I mean at least that I could think of.
Yeah, I think we had a really good conversation.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Awesome.
Well,
shouts out to everyone tuned in. Shouts out to Zaf.
Shouts out Zaf.
Wait, Zaf.
Oh,
right there. Yeah. Shouts out to everyone who tuned in. Shout out to everyone who's ever tuned in. Anti shout out to the Trump administration.
Yeah, they're not doing too well right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week, hopefully. Probably, definitely.
We'll see you next week. Not the same time though. It'll be at 7.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.